superstar Luka Doncic reportedly received a pain-killing injection before Game 2 and fighting his way through the finals. Coach Jason Kidd told SiriusXM NBA Radio.
We always expect the best. When you talk about Luka as the best player in the world and you look at what he's been doing in this series, he's doing it all. And so we don't expect anything less than what he's been doing, and he's helping his team to try to find a way to win.
Play-by-play on MLB Network Radio, Channel 89 at 8 Eastern. Major Championship Golf is on SiriusXM, and we are your exclusive home for the 2024 U.S. Open. In moments, three-time U.S. Women's Open champion Annika Sorenstam gives her insight on what it takes to win during Annika.
His administration, that he's turned down the Lakers job, he's going to remain at UConn.
And doing it like only Frank and Scal can.
As soon as LeBron is out, they gave up all their assets to the Pelicans and other people moving forward. Like, Danny Hurley wants to endure that. Think about all the winning that he had done over the last couple of years. Think about how good of a coach he is. You want to deal with a rebuild in the NBA? So why does it not make sense to me for Danny Hurley to take this job?
SiriusXM, we want you to see them. SiriusXM Video lets you watch your favorite SiriusXM shows on the SiriusXM app. Groundbreaking interviews, amazing in-show moments, behind-the-scenes footage, live performances, all come to life in a way you only imagined before. Plus, you can create your own personalized Pandora station based on the artists you love. And hear over 100 extra channels filled with ad-free music for every mood or occasion. Get your first 6 months of our Platinum plan for only $8.33 per month, plus fees and taxes. Just call 844-711-8800 to take advantage of this amazing offer.
On the Megyn Kelly Show, you're going to hear conversations you won't find anywhere else, for reals. You got people who are on the hard right, you got people on the hard left. I'm bringing you my honest opinions. Don't cower away from the tough subjects out of fear of offending someone. That's not us. I'm unleashed, unafraid, and I'm loving every minute of it.
To hear the Megyn Kelly Show, activate your radio by calling 844-711-8800 or visit SiriusXM.com/go.
New edition.
Rediscover the boy band that defined a generation.
Their hits from the beginning
and massive solo successes.
New Edition Radio.
Throughout Black Music Month in the SiriusXM app.
And starting Thursday for a limited time
on Channel 79.
You gotta get up. There you go now.
I think every...
Oh, let's see. You gotta get up. There you go. You gotta get up.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs, and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at equityzonemortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you and turn on the Big C Sports Podcast. License number 018-14868.
Rondo Deportes, bonjour, Vidi Vidi Vici. Let's get ready to rumble. Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to me, in the California State Assembly. What a beautiful day in the neighborhood on a beautiful... I'm telling you, it's a beautiful warm day in Northern California. It is June 12th, actually June 11th, 2024. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers. home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade that's standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them to sit you, where the good Lord split you. As well as driving a fleet of Cadillac cars all over the universe. And make sure they give you some extra gas money because gas prices are kind of high in Denver Hills, California. I want to say today is a different show. Remember back in the day they had a show called A Different World. It's a Jasmine Guy and Kadeem Hardison. Well, today is a different show. I have the privilege of just being able to say I was at the California State Capitol today in an assembly meeting that happened with one of the greatest senators in the history of the universe, the great California Senator Stephen Bradley. The assembly is amazing, and on a beautiful day like today, Tuesday, June 11th, 2024, we keep getting victories. What did DJ Khaled sing? He said, all I do is win, 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 no matter what. We want the real DJ Khaled. When you can't get the real DJ Khaled, you get the Big C Khaled, if that makes sense to you. But we do win, 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 no matter what. All we want is our reparations. And when do we want it? We want it now. I want to say with the Big C Sports Podcast, I love this show. Of course, we're going to talk about some NBA basketball with the Dallas Mavericks and also the Boston Celtics. But even more so than that, I have some things to talk about. TNT, can you believe they owe $40 billion? That's $40 billion with a B. You would think they'd be champion in reparations. I know Shaquille O'Neal's wealthy, Charles Barkley's wealthy, Kenny the Jet Smith is wealthy. But if we could get those brothers, those beautiful, intelligent black men, and even Ernie, to at least champion what California's doing with California Senator Stephen Bradford, and start championing reparations. You don't have to be afraid. You got one of the most brave men in the history of the universe. And when Bradford spoke today at the assembly, it was like Moses. When God told Moses in Exodus, he said, go down into Egypt and tell Pharaoh to let my people go. And Moses said to God, well, who do I tell him to send me? And Senator Bradford said the same thing. When Senator Bradford said, well, who do I tell him to send me? And Senator Bradford said, tell him I am sent you. Because reparations is real. I think I only had one person that tried to shout down reparations, and she was in a red dress. A Republican. For those of you who say you want to go to the Republican Party, and they're telling you no! And you say you want to vote for that? You're going to vote for somebody that's going to say, oh, that slavery, that was a long time ago. No, it was not a long time ago. In fact, she sat up there in her red dress and benefiting from some of the discrimination that made it possible for her to sit there in the assembly. I'm not even going to mention her name because it's putrid to me. You're going to sit there and listen to a brilliant man like Senator Bradford and say, well, I don't believe that you should deserve any type of reparations. I came here and I put myself up by my own bootstrap. Understanding that racism still rules in the United States, all it means is we are a nation of the law, we're seeking repair, and the assembly, they're strong on repair. I love that. You can follow Big C Sports Podcast on 29 applications all over the universe. And I'm going to tell you, Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Some people say I talk too slow, so I'm trying to talk a little bit faster. If that makes sense to you. But I also want to tell you about Big C Sports Podcast is I produce the show, I direct the topics, I broadcast all the shows, I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We could all use more laughter in our lives, especially if you wear a red dress. And you were alone as you're saying, well, we don't deserve no reparations. Sitting up there benefiting from all the civil rights movements that black people put together, and now you sit there in a red dress and say, oh, I put myself up by my own bootstraps. Oh, no, you didn't. No, you did not. But as I get back to what I'm saying, the commercials are done, the stats are provided, the storytelling. I even do the play-by-play. Luka Doncic for 3. Yes! Get the hole in your life. The great Kyrie Irving for 3. Yes! Get the hole in your life. Don't forget about Boston, Big C. Jaylen Brown for 3. Get the hole, yes, in your life. Have you ever seen such a player? So I got that out of my system. I'm going to talk about some NBA basketball today and how TNT is $40 billion in debt. But I'm going to bring on a guest for Big C Sports Podcast. He goes by the name of Chris Lodgson. He spoke with Senator Bradford today, and he's going to be on the Big C Sports Podcast. So my show is a little bit different. I'm going to do what's called the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. And when I come back, we're going to say reparations now, reparations forever. You don't want to miss it. I'll be back in just a moment. All right, we're back from the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 29 podcast applications all over the universe. It's streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. I got a man by the name of Chris Lodgson. He's on the phone right now, and his phone's at 2%. But that shows you how much power he even at 2%, he can outperform some of the 99% performing Republicans that tried to vote no on the bill. Your thoughts, Chris? So, Chris,
my brother.
Well, number one, I know at 2% you perform better than 99% of the people in the red party that want to vote no on everything. But give me your thoughts on what happened at the assembly today. I thought you were excellent. Go right ahead, sir.
Thank you, brother. No, I appreciate it. I want to give a shout out to you. Also, big shout out to the audience. And yes, today we had 3 reparations-related bills that got passed in the California State Assembly, SB 1403, which creates a state agency to help implement, oversee, monitor reparations so that we have a place to go to apply for our reparations, to show that we're eligible to process our payments and our claims. That bill passed today. We had SB 1331, which I was able and really honored to give expert witness testimony on. This bill creates the California Reparations and Reparative Justice Fund, which would fund and help facilitate funding for reparations, because you can't do this without funding. And then SB 1050, which really honors the original promise of 40 acres and a mule by starting a process for the return of property and land that was taken unjustly by the state. All 3 of these bills, we expect, and we're still waiting on some of the final votes, but we expect all 3 of these bills will have passed and are now on their way to the next committee.
May lightning strike! Even God was like Moses. He said, "Pass it now, pass it, pass it, pass it." You know, there's a story in the Bible in Exodus where Moses was talking to God, and God told Moses, he said, "Go down into Egypt and tell Pharaoh to let my people go." And when Chris Lodgson said, "Well, who do I tell him sent me?" And God said, "Tell him I am sent you." Do you feel that you relate to that story in the Bible, because you're speaking for, as you mentioned, ancestors that can't speak for themselves? Your thoughts?
Yeah, no, thank you, brother. And that's partly why I started my testimony with just an honor to my ancestors. And let's be clear to everybody listening and watching and who are going to listen and going to watch, this is history.
Yes.
This is the first time that we have real reparations-related bills at a state level, specifically for the descendants of the people whose ancestors were enslaved and emancipated in this country, a special group of people.
Yes.
And this is actually history. You know, it's hard for me to. You know, I would never put myself in the line of the list of Moses and all the people at all, because really we all regular black folks, as we like to call ourselves. And I am honored and just humbled, really, to be a part of this, and feel really lucky and blessed.
Yes, Chris. Talking to the great Chris Lodgson, who's also sat right next to Senator Bradford, who's part of the California Reparations Task Force. Shirley Weber, Secretary of State of California, with Governor Gavin Newsom. They made all this possible. Can you expound on the relationship you have with Senator Bradford? You get the cake right as it's out of the oven. Your thoughts?
Yeah, thank you. So, you know, it was an honor, and it's been an honor to work alongside Senator Bradford, you know, through the task force, you know, and he served on the task force for 2 years and really did tremendous work. And then when the task force finished in June or July of last year, the next step was for senators and assembly members to take the recommendations of the task force and turn them into policy, turn them into law, make them real.
Yeah.
And that is what Senator Bradford has been leading on. I think his reparations-related bills are, in my opinion, I know our folks at the Coalition for Just and Equitable California, CJEC, agree with this, that his bills are really the most substantive bills, the bills that we think are the best bills to start with, and really do lay the groundwork for us to do a lot of amazing things later.
That's so wonderful, talking to the great Chris Lodgson. If I can just get your thoughts, Chris, I know your phone's probably at 1% now, but at 1%, you perform better than 99% of those people in the red suits that voted no. What's the next step for people to do now? I know you talked about the website with Cjec. Tell us where we can go, where we can follow what you're doing, and also Cjec and the reparations bills. Your thoughts?
Yeah, so definitely go to www.cjec-official.org. That's www.cjec-official.org. Sign up for our text message updates and alerts, because we send out reparations text message updates and alerts pretty regularly. Sign up for our reparations newsletter that we put out every single month, and really do be ready to take action again very soon, because although we won today, we have more steps ahead. We're about 2 steps away right now from the governor's desk.
Wow.
2 steps away. We have one more committee, and then we go to the floor of the assembly, and then we're on the governor's desk. So we're 2 steps away. So we really need people plugged into our text message updates, our newsletter, so that way you know what you need to do when we get into the next committee and when we get to the floor of the assembly. Generally speaking, though, we really want folks to be doing a couple of things. One, talking to anybody and everybody that they can in their family, in their neighborhood, in their co-workers and spaces, wherever they can, to raise awareness about reparations, talk about reparations more often. That's what we want people to do. Every one of us who's listening now, we want you to put the word reparations in one of your conversations this week. The second thing that we're asking folks to do is be ready to reach out to your state assembly members, because that's who are going to be voting on the bills. So we need you to know first who your state assembly members are. You need to know who they are, and then you need to be ready by plugging into the website, into the text updates, into the email to take action to reach out to those assembly members.
Talking to the great Chris Lodgson. See, I told you can do more on 2% in your brain. On 2%, this brother did more on 2% of his brain than the 99% of people in those red suits and ties can do with all that stuff. So last thing I'll get you to say, if you can just say the motivation, the clarion call to our people, whether they vote red, white, or blue, doesn't matter to me. They got to know pen to paper matters. You put pen to paper as you sat there next to Senator Bradford. The next thing that people can do outside of no matter who they vote for, but why would you vote for someone that says no to reparations? That's just a clue. Give me your marching orders for people again, please.
So I'm going to pick up on that theme that you mentioned because I think it's important. So we have a saying, no reparations, no vote. So here's the energy that we are bringing this election cycle and every election cycle from here on after. Our representatives, or people who want to be our representatives, people who are running for office, we need you who are listening right now to reach out to these people. Find these people who are wanting and who are asking and wanting your vote. The first thing you need to ask them is, do you support reparations for the descendants of U.S. chattel slavery? Do you support direct monetary payments for these individuals? Do you support all the things that the State Reparations Task Force said that these individuals are owed and due? And then when you get an answer, I want you to use what the answer is in your decision to vote or not vote for this person. Make reparations an election issue. Personally, I don't vote for people who don't support reparations, personally. That's the energy that I bring. And we're encouraging everyone to make reparations an election issue this time around and next time and here and forever.
Well, Chris, I will let you go on that. And again, the brother did it on 2%. If we can perform on 2% of our brain and get all these bills passed, then we're in a good spot. I want to wish you a super fantastic day. Thanks for being on the Big C Sports Podcast. And my slogan is reparations now, reparations forever. I thank you, Chris. You have a super fantastic day. Thank you, sir.
Likewise. Thank you, brother.
That was the great Chris Lodgson with Cjec. And, there's so many people that have their thoughts on what happens with reparations. And some people say they don't believe in reparations because they're ignorant. And that's a fact. If you don't believe in having anything repaired, then something must be wrong with you. And I mean that with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. There's a lot of times when people just want to say no. And reparations will stimulate our economy. It's been proven with our descendants of Holocaust, because we know what's happened when they got reparations from the German government, and it's also the United States Department of Justice. We know what's happened with Native Americans when they got the reparations, with all the people go out gambling now. How does that happen? They go to these gambling casinos that are owned by Native Americans. Japanese Americans, when they got the reparations from the internment camps, they benefited and stimulated the economy. Descendants of chattel slavery would do the same thing. Built this country for free. From cradle to grave, people worked. And it's not enough to say, well, we don't believe in it. We do believe in it. I'm going to take what's called the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. When I come back, I'm going to talk more about reparations now, reparations forever. I'll be back in just a moment. All right, I'm back from the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 29 podcast applications all over the universe. And streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. I really do appreciate that. And just have the great Chris Lodgson. He's part of Cjec, where they work to make sure that they're working with the Assembly and the Senate of California to make sure that reparations happens. And I want to make sure that with Big C Sports Podcast, as I can say it loud and proud, I'm the only sports show in the universe that champions reparations on every show that I do. There's no more important moment than that. I know we talk about our athletes, we talk about our entertainers, but there are times when they don't talk about anything other than they want another opportunity for work, begging somebody for work. I want to just touch base on what I just learned today. Cjec is California Reparations and Reparative Justice for Black or African American descendants of United States chattel slavery. That's called American Freedom. In creating California's Reparations Task Force, it was Assembly Bill AB 3121, and you hear a lot about Secretary of State Shirley Weber. She's a powerful, beautiful, intelligent woman, and I love championing what she's all about. And she helped get this started with the California Governor Gavin Newsom. So in 2020, they worked hard alongside Assembly member Dr. Shirley Weber to strengthen and enact AB 3121. That's the state law that created America's first in the nation, and not the second in the nation, not the third in the nation, but the first in the nation task force to study and develop reparations. That's a powerful moment and a seminal moment in American society. I know you want to know who won the game because we've been trained to say touchdown, home run, 3-point play. Oh man, Willie, he's gone all the way in your life. Have you ever seen such a shot? We've heard that so many times. But the California Reparations Task Force to study and develop reparations proposals for African Americans, and now working to build strong public and community support in California for California's reparations to make sure that California creates and enacts strong reparations legislation. I just want to give that some praise. I want to give it praise, because not everybody believes in doing the right thing unless something happens to them. And I love the fact that Chris Lodgson came on to the program today on Big C Sports Podcast to talk about reparations. I want to make sure that I do my part and always making sure that I do the same thing. I'm so thankful that the legislation was signed into law recently, making California the first state to collect data on descendants of United States slavery, specifically recognizing African Americans, freedmen, as a unique group of people that we are. Give that some praise. I say give it praise. If we don't do it, then who will? We got to stand up and champion that cause. As I love saying, reparations now, reparations forever. I love that part of what I do with Big C Sports Podcast. Nobody else is really doing that, and that's okay. Where I grew up, you either lead, you either follow, or you get out of the way. But I spoke today in front of the California State Assembly representing the National Black Wall Street Project co-chair and also Big C Sports Podcast. I love talking about things that matter, and I'm really appreciative Chris Lodgson is coming on to the program today to talk about Cjec and how he stood there and sat there and spoke with California Senator Stephen Bradford on doing things that we all need to do, and that support reparations. I know we have people that want to say, well, can you tell me when the kickoff starts? Or can you tell me when the tip-off starts, Big C? And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with watching sports. I know that sports is $1 billion industry, and that boys and girls sports is the foundation to that $1 billion industry. But I'm going to talk about sports too. We really got some stuff on inside the NBA. They're $40 billion in debt. $40 billion with a B. That's a lot of money. They should support the California Reparations Task Force. So I just want to say, for anybody that showed up and spoke their minds, I really do appreciate that, because we only have so much time on this planet. If we can do the right thing for our people, that's going to be better off for all of us. So 1403 got through the first step of the assembly today, and again, everybody can Google these bills and you can see for yourself what it actually means. And that way, you either lead, follow, or get out of the way. You don't have to just trust what I say on Big C Sports Podcast. But I want to tell you, 1403, to make reparations a reality, anyone who approved the Just Act for descendants of Holocaust, pay attention to this in Congress, and Department of Justice. 1403, Senate bill to make reparations a reality for Californians whose ancestors were enslaved in the United States. Residents need a place to go to apply for reparations and show they're eligible and have their reparations claim and payments processed. Senate Bill 1403 creates a state agency to do just that, the California American Freedmen's Affairs Agency. And that got an approval vote today in the State Assembly of California. But not only that, Senate Bill 1331 got approval. It would create the California Reparations and Reparative Justice Fund to establish both a fund and a funding source for reparations. The fund must be used for reparations policies that indemnify and compensate residents who are descendants of people emancipated from chattel slavery in the United States of America. I don't know anyone that supports the JUST Act that would not be for reparations of descendants of chattel slavery. And not only that, the Senate Bill 1050 will require the California American Freedmen Affairs Agency to research and document state properties acquired as a result of racially motivated eminent domain and establish a process for providing just compensation to the rightful owner of such property contingent upon appropriation by legislature. I think Chris had a very powerful, poignant moment today when a lady in a red suit that got her position because of civil rights that we know black people marched for, and many even died for it. And now someone in a red suit that didn't march says, well, I did it on my own. I pulled myself up by my own bootstraps. And she did not. There's a lot of black men and black women that did that, and some decent white people, good people, you people. But to have someone right now come on and get on the bus in the fourth quarter and say they did it by themselves, that's disingenuous. So that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I want to thank Chris Lodgson from Cjec coming on as he spoke today for the Assembly bills 1331, 1403, and 1050 that were approved today in the California Assembly. That's important. I want to give that some praise. I say give it praise, because we all need somebody to lean on, and I love leaning on that. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. I love on every Big C Sports podcast, I pay homage to the California Reparations Task Force because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. And I might be wrong, but I believe I'm the only sports show in the universe that pays homage to the California Reparations Task Force. Now, some people say, Big C, you talk too fast. I say too fast. They say, yes. And then some people say, Big C, you talk too slow. I said too slow. They say, yeah, you talk too slow. Well, sometimes you can't please anybody. But if something meant for you, it's not going to miss you. You can't say the right thing to the wrong person, and you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. That's why I want to champion the California Reparations Task Force, because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Now, this was put together by California Secretary of State Shirley Weber, the inimitable Shirley Weber, and talking to the California Governor Gavin Newsom to make this possible. And I want to make sure I give them all praise. The chair, Camila Moore, she's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Emmett C. Brown, the vice chair. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. He's actually been on the Big C Sports podcast. I want to give praise to the number one senator in the history of the universe. That's California Senator Stephen Bradford. He's brilliant. And I love giving him praise. I met him several times. Actually got the chance to talk to him and say hi to him today, shake his hand. And I've been to his office several times in Northern California. He also helped craft name, image, and likeness that's all over the world of sports. He did that. And not only that, he helped craft the Ebony Alert that helps law enforcement put the same amount of resources into finding missing black children as it does with the Amber Alert finding missing white children. He did that. Not only that, he also stood tall like Moses when the Senate said, well, how do we pass reparations? And God said, go down into the state assembly and tell the assembly to pass reparations now, reparations forever. And he got through again. First with the Senate, now the Assembly, and we still have more roads to climb, but we're climbing that ladder. We're ascending as a people. And I want to make sure that I love giving them praise, because a lot of people can say, well, you do it and I'll stand behind you. If they're afraid, at least stand behind a person who's not afraid. So I really do appreciate Senator Bradford and the way he speaks, such an eloquent speaker. And then Council Member Monica Montgomery Stepp, she's brilliant. I love giving her praise. Assembly Member Reginald Jones Sawyer, he's brilliant. I love giving him praise. Dr. Shell Grills, she's brilliant. I love giving her praise. Attorney Lisa Holder, she's brilliant. I love giving her praise. She specializes in diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is under attack in 30 of the 50 states in the United States. For those who say, we don't need no reparations. If we don't need reparations, why is diversity, equity, and inclusion under attack? By those red-suited people. I want to thank Dr. Jovan Scott Lewis, professor at California, Berkeley. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to Attorney Donald K. Tamaki, a Japanese-American who also got reparations and he's part of the task force. Give them all praise, praise, praise. You got to give people praise because not everybody's going to do it. Some people are afraid. I don't know what they're afraid of, but some people just don't have the courage to do what's right, and doing what's right for descendants of child of slavery is always right. Now, before I do that, I got to do this commercial that I'm part of, and then I'm going to get into the sports because I know some people say, Big C, you told me I was coming to see the game. You talk about getting me some money? Man, lightning strike! You got to give people the money. In fact, speaking of money, I'm gonna ask everyone to pull out your cell phones and Google something, and Google it, and then tell me what your thoughts are when you Google it. Now, I tell you, when you follow Big C Sports Podcast, it's heard all over the universe. I want you to Google this. If you can do it with your own phone. It's called Justice for Uncompensated Survivors Today Act. It's called the Just Act, J-U-S-T. That's J-U-S-T Act, the Just Act report. Would you believe? It says the Holocaust is one of the most horrific atrocities in world history. And at the end of the day, we all know that. As World War II ended in Europe, the United States led the efforts. The United States led the efforts. The United States led the efforts. The United States led the efforts to seek a measure of justice in the form of restitution or compensation for individuals whose assets were stolen during the Holocaust. Efforts began while Allied troops were liberating Europe and continue to this day. In 2009, the United States of America and 46 other countries committed to rectify the consequences of the wrongful asset seizures and to provide the welfare of Holocaust survivors around the world by endorsing the Terezin Declaration. Congress, United States Congress, with broad bipartisan support, the Justice for Uncompensated Survivors Today Act of 2017. May lightning strike if you're anti-reparations. And we applaud it. Nobody's saying don't do it. And that's what I love about Big C Sports Podcast. I want to make sure that good people, you people, you do the right thing and you know what's happened. Google the Just Act. I just read it to you. You can't say you didn't hear about it when you follow Big C Sports Podcast. That's my story and I'm sticking with it. And now I want you to hear one of the greatest speakers in the history of the universe. You can't say you don't support reparations after you hear the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He says, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice, in his own words.
And Martin Luther King spoke to this. Jim and Shane, this is clip number 4. Martin Luther King spoke to this sometime back in the early 60s. And I thought this was a really interesting quote. Here he is.
The problem. At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with. And this is a reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we're coming to get our check.
Elected strike. Reparations now. Reparations forever. Well, I have to make sure I get that part in. If you understand the Just Act, Google the Just Act and tell me how it's any different for descendants of chattel slavery, other than we're still having debates and they're already getting paid. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I got something I got to do. I have a guide to protect, preserve, and transfer wealth. Some people say it's a commercial, and some people say it's more like an infomercial, Big C. Well, some people say it's more like an infomercial. A guide to protect, preserve, and transfer wealth. Resource Development Consulting, Inc., in conjunction with the Law Office of Scott Thibodeau and the Law Office of Attorney George Jones, the Missing Link Long-Term Care Solutions by the book, over 3 decades of experience helping seniors get their benefits. Medicare and You, taking care of tomorrow. In California, it's called Medi-Cal. In other states, it's called Medicaid. Your family and spouse can avoid the spend down for nursing home costs. Find out your options are promised to you. 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. Specialized to navigate and maximize long-term care benefits. Protection of your assets without a spend down. And that's what Senator Bradford was doing for reparations today, trying to protect and go back and get our assets, if that makes sense to you. All paperwork and communication with all government agencies are handled by our staff of entitlement specialists, ongoing consulting to provide updates as necessary, benefits covering skilled nursing facilities, prescriptions, medical equipment costs, and more. Not only that, protection of your assets. You better believe if you walk into probate court without a will or trust, they're going to come after all your assets. That's why you got to call 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624, including your home, thereby allowing you to leave a legacy for your family. Is that Aflac? No, Aflac's the duck. That's Gap Insurance. A duck cannot protect his own assets. How can it protect yours? 800-772-8624. Avoid the nightmare of debt brought by the government's estate recovery program can be between 10 to 40%. That's egregious. And a one-time processing fee versus monthly premiums for the rest of your life. Not only that, I'm not done yet. My lightning strike. If you don't have a will and a trust, in conjunction with the Law Office of Scott Thibodeau and Attorney George Jones, protection, insurance coverage required by law, general liability, workers' compensation, lawyers specializing in living trust, Medicaid or Medi-Cal, planning for long-term care, avoid probate, life insurance, veterans benefits, aid and attendance, pre-planning, avoid the look-back period. What about fixed assets, Big C? I'm glad you asked. Bank account, checking account, your savings account, money market accounts, certificates of deposit, life insurance with cash values, fixed index annuities. What about variable assets, Big C? I'm glad you asked. Real estate, qualified money, IRAs, 401ks, other investments. Avoid capital gains. Let's say a real estate broker says, buy this house for $100,000. People say, Big C, what can I get a house for $100,000? Well, we got them on the list. And then in 1 year, it appreciates to $1 million. $1 million. Well, they say what they got to say to make it sell nowadays. That's a $900,000 capital gains. You avoid that when your property's in a trust. Over 3 decades of experience, attention business owners, find out your other options to protect what your insurance does not cover. 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. When you do that, you got to give me some praise, because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. And I want to make sure that you don't waste your mind when you listen to Big C Sports Podcast. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. When someone says, well, why would we listen to you, Big C? Everybody's telling something. Everybody's trying to tell me to protect my assets, if that makes sense to you. Well, it makes more sense when you have endorsements at the highest order. With the RDC team, we have those endorsements. And as I tell everybody, always ask for endorsements, and don't just touch my word for it. Anybody can tell you to buy their product. But we have the endorsements that really speak loud and clear. We have the endorsement of Attorney Scott Thibodeau, one of the top estate planners in Northern California. We have the endorsement of Mr. George Jones, the chairman of the California Black Chamber of Commerce, also the California Black Chamber of Commerce Foundation. We have the endorsement of Mr. Leon Woods, Resource Development Consultant, works with many of the top lobbyists in California. We have the endorsement of Ms. Cheryl Brown. She's the chair of the California Commission on Aging. We have the endorsement of Mr. Ray De La Cruz, the CEO of Resource Development Consultant. Have the endorsement of the CalPERS late legal mind, top legal mind, Robert Carlson. He endorsed the RDC team. We have the endorsement of Mr. Alex De La Cruz, the founder of American Veteran Benefits. And not only that, we have the endorsement of Charlton Curry, co-chair of the National Black Wall Street Project, also Resource Development Consultant. also owner of Big C Sports Podcast. I spoke at the assembly today. Not only that, we had the endorsement of Double O, the PR Committee for the National Black Wall Street Project, has our own economics awareness talk show called Let's Eat. And everybody loves to eat. It's on Access in Sacramento. You can follow that. She also spoke today at the State Assembly. I want to give it all praise. I say give it praise, praise, praise. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I hope that people don't mind the stories that I come with. But now I'm going to tell you, I know there's a lot of people that want to know, just tell me about the game. I'm going to tell you about the game. There's a big game that's going on in the world of reparations now in sports. Would you believe if some of these men would just listen to what I'm been preaching for a long, long time now, maybe they wouldn't have some of the challenges they're going through right now. Would you believe when we look at a company that has a $40 billion debt, it could ruin the livelihoods of employees? Shaquille O'Neal, Charles Barkley, inside the NBA, they face a shutdown. Now, they have a lot of money. They already got the reparations with their NBA contracts. But those contracts would not have been possible without the civil rights. It ended up Jim Crow laws, and that's what civil rights did. But think about this great NBA show. I wish they would champion reparations the way I do on Big C Sports Podcast. For the past couple days, the NBA has been waiting to receive an update on the situation of TNT. Can you believe that? With all the money these guys make, they're in a problem. They have a problem, a big problem. It's in Houston, we have a problem. But the media network, which has played a host to the charismatic inside the NBA crew, for over a decade has been in danger of losing its media rights due to the debt of $40 billion. That's a lot of debt. They may start championing reparations now. So if the TNT fails to retain the same, then the fans will have to bid adieu to the great Shaquille O'Neal, the great Charles Barkley, and the great Kenny the Jet Smith, and also Ernie Johnson. Now, a recent update, unfortunately, it has all the signs of pointing to this dreaded situation coming true. Think about what happened. The Wall Street Journal reported that the NBA is closing in on an 11-year, $76 billion deal. That's a lot of money. And the deal would grant its media rights to ESPN, Amazon, and NBC. You can follow Big C Sports on Amazon as well. And so the decision was made after TNT's parent company, Warner Brothers, discovered it reportedly suffering from $40 billion. $40 billion! $40 billion in debt. You better believe they should have been championing reparations and could not chip in the amount required to retain the NBA media rights. Since Disney, ESPN's parent company, was dealing with its own issues related to falling stocks, it could not pay the full amount either. However, reportedly partnering up with Amazon, that you can follow Big C Sports Podcast on Amazon, and also NBC has ensured it gets at least a portion of the rights. Now, according to ESPN, it has agreed to over $2.6 billion a year as part of its negotiations with the NBA. In your life, get the hole, yes! We can't wait for Game 3 of the NBA Finals with Dallas taking on the Boston Celtics. But not only that, while Amazon will hand over $1.8 billion to the league, which adds up to $76 billion over 11 years. You can follow Big C Sports on Amazon. And then the situation was the very thing that Charles Barkley was afraid of during an appearance on the Dan Patrick Show, May 23rd. The Philadelphia 76ers legend reportedly called his TNT bosses clowns for not fighting harder for the media rights. You want to know who I call clowns? People who don't champion reparations now, reparations forever. Because just like some of our top-minded media personalities, they want to get their money, but what do they do to make sure that they stand up for the descendants of child slavery? When you reach out and extend the olive branch. So more than the worry about losing his job, Barkley's wealthy, but people live within their own means. Barkley was concerned about the repercussions of hundreds of inside the NBA employees would face in light of the bad news. He said he feels so bad for the people that I work with. Dan said at 61-year-old, and these people have families, and I just really feel bad for them right now. These people I work with, and they screw things up, and they don't have an idea of what's going to happen. It's a sentiment resonated with something that said in an interview with ESPN in May. Many of the publications saying that TNT will likely return Ernie Johnson that Ernie Johnson is Turner. It's Cjec, Barkley, and Smith's future that's in question. The three black guys, their jobs are in question. You know, the ones that are Hall of Famers that played the game. Their jobs are in question, but not Ernie's. You can read between the lines. The 61-year-old wasn't worried about the three of them, as they're all wealthy, but he told ESPN all three of them are financially set, and they're not worried about the job. To be honest with you, I feel bad for the people I work with. While the Philadelphia 76ers legend may not be worried about his job, he sure isn't happy about how things are going. What if these men could champion what Senator Bradford just did today? Reparations now? Reparations forever? What would that do for the descendants of child of slavery? That maybe would just benefit more if they had bright minds like our sports legends and icons that was champion for the cause. It's not going to hurt anybody's feeling if you ask for the Just Act for descendants of child of slavery. What's the Just Act, Big C? J-U-S-T. Google it. The Just Act. Reparations already been paid with applause. So considering the situation he and his co-host are in, they don't have any problems having money. They're very wealthy. But they say their future inside the NBA, Barkley said, we're just sitting back and waiting on these people to figure out what they're going to do. Also, while making an interesting connection, my two favorite wings, and let me just say this. I don't want to get into too much of what somebody said because I got my own opinions. But the statement went against other that had the take Shaquille O'Neal had on the media rights situation. In a May interview with Daily Mail, Shaq said, I don't know about the show's future, but hopefully Warner Brothers Discovery CEO will take care of business. I'm sure he will, and I think we're going to be in a great spot. And from the Wall Street Journal's report, as well as Barkley's comments on the Dan Patrick Show, it doesn't seem like the inside the NBA is a great spot, and neither are the 100 or so employees who work behind the scenes to help run the show. And having been on the show since he retired from the NBA in 2000, Charles Barkley watched the children of employees he worked with growing from neighborhoods to high schoolers and then later to college. With so many workers having devoted most of their lives to the show, the former NBA player did not feel right that such a thing was lurking. And I understand what he's saying. At the same time, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver had revealed that TNT losing this battle may not mean the end of the Inside the NBA until the new broadcasters for the NBA Media Group are announced. According to the reports, negotiations between TNT and the NBA were in play due to matching those rights, which reportedly means that a buyer can be within their rights to make a revised offer, if that makes sense to you. No matter what happens, that show's going to go on because they have the money. When you look at Shaquille O'Neal and also Charles Barkley and Kenneth the Jet Smith, they have money. The interesting thing is that matching rights are not as powerful today as they used to be because there's so many ways to avoid them. And for example, competition is between NBC and Warner Brothers. Discovery, NBA has an over-the-air network which can guarantee wider distribution, and that's something that can point in a different direction. And people are saying it could be the end of the show. Whether it is or if it's not, what if we just said the same thing when it comes to reparations? Put our thoughts and prayers behind that. It's a situation where TNT can end up matching NBC's $2.5 billion, and the NBA will say that they will go with NBC because they want over-the-air coverage, and then the network can have a good basis for taking the issue to trial. And whether the same will occur, we don't know. We don't control it. But what I do know is we can control. We have so many things that we can control. And that's how we vote. Chris Lodgson said today with Cjec, no reparations, no vote. And I just wonder at what it would take for our beautiful, intelligent athletes to just stand behind our California senator the way they're standing behind these TV networks. That would be great if they would do it. It's not too much to ask because we need it for people that have been robbed for everything from 1619 to now. I know we love sports. It's a $1 billion industry. I love it too with the Big C Sports Podcast. But I just want you to keep in mind we have some wealthy people saying they hope that a few hundred people don't lose their job at a TV station. But what about the millions of descendants of child slavery that are also seeking reparations and repair? It's more than just money. It's land, it's housing, it's better health care. elimination of debt, so many things that we never benefited from. We did not get the Homestead Act. That went to white people and Europeans. We did not get the GI Bill. At some point in time, stand behind Senator Bradford the way you're begging a TV network to keep people employed. And for the most part, they don't even look African American. Chris Lodgson said his phone was at 2% when he called the program today. People say we use 10% of our brains. What if we took 2% of our media brethren and have them champion reparations now? Reparations forever!
Tatum trying to get free. Throwing in the corner. Brown fakes, fires up the three.
Because then you're a little bit late to close. Still a contest, Cjec, and he's actually well positioned. Incredible shot making by Jaylen Brown.
And with the separation that was created initially on that screen, Siakam wasn't in position to make the quick foul. Sidestep, three-pointer, puts it up. Bang! LeBron James. That's something that the Celtic coaching staff talks to the referees about at halftime. Jaylen Brown with the finish. Wow. 21 points. Tatum, Antetokounmpo, the superstar, step back three on the way. Oh, it banks in. Jason Tatum. Boston on top with a window three.
Indiana getting ready for their game, warming up. They pull them off the court essentially.
Agility out of the big fella in this series. Doncic's three was well over, and Edwards. Edwards gets it to go. Two back-to-back, basically 30-footers, Coach. Yeah, and that's his spot over here on that left wing. Kyrie Irving's had two shots, Reg, and hasn't been able to get either one of them to the rim. Doncic back over in a 16-footer, and he was lit up to begin things. Luka Doncic, we've seen this a lot. Great ball pressure. Just watch him decelerate and stop the space he creates, Reg. Second personal foul. Doncic creeping his way inside. Here's his shot. 5 of 5. He is blowing. Has been fantastic.
I love Big C Sports Podcast, and I just want to get people to focus in. I know we talked about the LA Lakers offered Dan Hurley $70 million, and he said no. That tells you how good a life he's having. Part of the lineage in his family probably came from the Homestead Act. Not knocking him, but that's just a fact. So no matter what you think about sports, I love championing reparations and also sports. You can do it all. There's so many things that would benefit the United States of America when it comes to reparations will stimulate the American economy. And people know that. Do you want to stimulate the economy? Have you not been entertained? Get the hole in your life. Yes! I love being entertained by reparations. The same way I love being entertained by sports. We can do both. And that's what I love with Big C Sports Podcast. I just ask people to tune into the show, share it with other people. It's sports and reparations. As long as it's factual, I give you a lot of facts on the program. I want to thank Chris Lodgson for being on the show today. I want to thank the California State Assembly and also the Honorable Robert Rivas. He was the speaker and was very eloquent in supporting the causes for Assembly Bill 1331, 1403, and 1050 for reparations. I thank the California Reparations Task Force because we know our mind is a trouble in the waste. And I also want to say, for all you people, you people, good people that want to support sports, sports is great. It's $1 billion industry. But what if we have the same type of passion behind sports and yelling for a touchdown. Home run, 3-point play. Old man Willie, he's gone all the way. Imagine what will it do for our society. I heard some very salient moments in support of the Reparations Task Force today, and I appreciate Double O for being there, part of the National Black Wall Street Project. Also has our own economics emergence talk show called Let's Eat on Access Sacramento. The inimitable Reverend Tony Pierce, he showed up also, and Senator Bradford, and just appreciate so many people, and the brother Aleem Shabazz, part of the National Black Wall Street Project co-chair. We do our part. Cjec was there, and Double R was also sent me some video footage on a television program that I was not even aware of until Double R had sent that to me, so I do appreciate him. I wasn't aware of it, but this is a similar moment in California. Whether you believe in reparations or not, just Google the Just Act. And if you believe in the Just Act, you got to Google it and see what it says. And it's called JUST. And tell me how that differs from reparations. Today, it was on Senate Bill 1050, California American Freedmen's Affairs. The California State Assembly, they televised the program. And obviously, there's so many people that are involved in reparations. I just want to make sure that we as a people, we do the right thing and support those who support us. When it comes time to vote, they're going to be asking for your vote. And oftentimes I've been hearing no reparations, no vote. We deserve the same respect that the Just Act got from the United States Justice Department. I know you want to watch NBA basketball, but if those NBA basketball players, I want to give praise to Jaylen Brown for the Boston Celtics. His father, Marcellus Brown, was on my program the day before the NBA Finals started. That was last Wednesday. And Jaylen Brown said he wants to bring the Black Wall Street to Boston. We need more good people of all colors to stand up and do the right thing. If not now, when? And there was a Jewish speaker that spoke at the meeting today at the assembly, and she understood, as descendants of Holocaust, how reparations helped their family get back things that were taken. Also, the speaker, Robert Rivas, spoke the same thing. Nobody's anti-reparations except those who don't read the over 1,100-page task force bill. Well, that's my story. I'm sticking with it. As I always tell you, if you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink, because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You can call Uber, you can call Lyft, you can walk it off, you can sleep it off, but don't let someone you love get behind the wheel of a car and start driving after they've been drinking. The life you save may be your own, or someone that you love, or someone that someone else loves. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. My beautiful mother always says, there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever have to deal with that crap on their own. If somebody's slapping you, I only slapped you because it made me mad. Call 911. If somebody's kicking you, I only kicked you because it made me mad. Call 911. If somebody's choking you out, I only choked you because it made me mad. Call 911. No man, woman, or child should ever have to deal with that crap on their own. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I love paying homage to my beautiful family legacy. On my mother's side, my great-grandparents, Mama and Pop, my grandparents, Muddy and Hezekiah, and I can always depend on my mama, the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. Started a Head Start program, a food program, and coaching all boys Little League baseball team to the championship of the universe. Always saying rise and shine. The best person I ever met in my life. On my father's side, my grandparents, Albert Curry and Alberta Curry. They were pastors. They had 3 churches and owned 2 gas stations in Oakland. I was 8 years old, walking through a hallway about 10 o'clock at night. I felt someone touch me on my forehead. College graduate, very smart, erudite, a good man. Malcolm, you can be anything you want to be. Malcolm helped me save trees. I used to always get newspapers and look up stats for Big C Sports podcast. One day, Malcolm said, Dad, he said, why don't you just Google it? And a light bulb went off. I've been Googling ever since. One day, Malcolm said, Dad, you want to see Big C Sports on TV? I said, sure. He said, pick up the remote, aim it at the TV, and say, play Big C Sports. You'll see a show come up. That's before it was even on the air. And now it's streaming on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Malcolm, you can be anything you want to be. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Always trust God. Isaiah 54:17. that no weapon formed against you will prosper. And then Big C, with all that wealth of knowledge over the years, like my great-grandparents coming out of that barn, saying you gotta believe, saying let's get ready to rumble. I love saying welcome to the show. ESPY nominated, Big C Sports Podcast. I have no scripts. I have no cerebral teleprompters. I have no producer in my ear. All I have is this gland in the brain called the pineal gland. The ancients call it the third eye. And they say that's how you talk to God, and that's why I scream so loud. Try it sometimes. Hopefully God is listening. I want reparations now, God. When do you want it, Big C? I want it now. We got to get it now. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, back by popular demand, back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He's known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, he said, you float like a butterfly, and you sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat. And every time I listen to Big C Sports, I want to chap at reparations now. Reparations forever. And that's what California Senator Stephen Bradford was doing today in front of the assembly. He was floating like a butterfly, and he was stinging like a bee. And along with him was a man named Chris Lodgson. They were doing their thing. I want to thank everybody that champions reparations and also sports, because we can do it all. But now we got to ask our president to do one thing in that one shiny moment. You got to champion reparations now. Champion reparations forever. Even if you got to do it by executive order. You got to champion reparations now. Champion reparations forever. Come on, you guys cheer it louder at the Kentucky Derby when a horse run the Kentucky Derby. I want you to champion reparations now. Say it with all your heart, mind, body, and soul. Because if we don't do it, then we're going to have people in a red suit that think she got there by hard work when it was black people marching during the Civil Rights Movement that made it possible for her to stand up in the assembly and say, I don't believe in no reparations. I put myself up by my bootstraps. What a joke. Even hasn't even read the task force, 1,100 pages. But if you believe in reparations, you got to champion reparations now. Reparations forever. I thank you. I appreciate you. And I hope that you have a super fantastic day.